Good morning, everyone. Welcome back to Network Analysis and Transmission Lines. So today we will be talking about magnetic circuits. So magnetic circuits is a part of network analysis. So first, in the previous class we discussed about what is network topology. So why we discuss network topology? What are the basic concepts which we discuss with respect to network topology? All those things we have discussed with respect to network topology. Now today we will be discussing about the next topic in network analysis and transmission lines, which is related with magnetic circuits. So in the magnetic circuits, before we start, let us see what are the topics which we are going to study. So we will be talking about the self and mutual inductance. So what is self-inductance? What is mutual inductance? How they are related? What is the unit that we represent? That we are going to discuss with respect to magnetic circuits. Then coming to the second topic we talk about the coefficient of coupling. So coefficient of coupling is represented with the symbol K. Okay. Then coming to the third topic, which is dot convention. So dot convention basically deals with the analysis of the circuits based on how we represent the dots in the network. So how the current will flow, whether the current is entering, whether the current is leaving. Based on that concept, we will be discussing the dot convention topic. So these are the topics which we are going to discuss with respect to magnetic circuits. Now, before we start with the basic concepts, let us first understand what are the objectives that we are going to study with respect to magnetic circuits. So the first objective here is to understand the basic concept of magnetic circuits, which is related with self-inductance and then mutual inductance. So self-inductance and mutual inductances are the two terms which are related with the magnetic circuit. So we'll see what is self-inductance, what is mutual inductance, and how they are related with respect to magnetic circuits. Then coming to the second objective deals with coefficient of coupling, which is represented with K, and then we will determine the circuit based on dot convention. So dot is normally used in order to analyze the circuit based on which the magnetic circuits are being analyzed. So these are the objectives of studying the magnetic circuits. Now let us start with self-inductance and mutual inductance. So before we see what is self-inductance and what is mutual inductance, let us first understand what is magnetically coupled circuits. So what are magnetically coupled circuits are? So for example, when two loops are there, we know what is loop and how do we define a loop, we have already discussed. So when two loops with or without contacts between them affect each other. So please see this line, we have to understand that when two loops are in contact or if they are not in contact with each other, but they are being affected with the help of magnetic field which is generated between them. Such circuits we call them as magnetically coupled circuits. So we call them as a magnetically coupled circuit. So what are magnetically coupled circuits? Magnetically coupled circuits are when two loops with or without contact between them affect each other with the help of magnetic field generated by them. Such circuits we call them as magnetically coupled circuits. So if you want to understand the magnetically coupled circuit, the best example for that you can see is a transformer. So what is transformer? Basically a transformer is an electrical device which is designed on the basis of the concept of magnetic coupling. So transformer is nothing but it is basically there are two turns will be there. One is primary windings and another one is a secondary winding, which are coupled magnetically to transfer the energy from one circuit to another circuit. So that we call it as a transformer. So transformer is a best example to understand the magnetically coupled circuit. So anyhow, the last topic of network analysis and transmission lines network topology unit we are going to discuss about the transformers. Okay, so in detail we'll discuss about the transformer. Now let us start understanding the first topic of magnetic circuits, which is self-inductance. So what is self-inductance? So it is called self-inductance because it is related with the voltage induced in a coil by time varying current in the same coil. So please remember that the magnetically coupled circuits are always having a time varying current. So it is called as a self-inductance because it relates with the voltage which is being induced in the coil, that by time varying current in the same coil. So in order to understand the self-inductance, let us consider the circuit which is given here as an example. Okay, so consider a single inductor is being placed here. So this inductor has n number of turns. Let us consider that this inductor has n number of turns. So when current I, that is I of t, flows through the coil, a magnetic flux phi will be developed or produced across this inductor. That you see here, the magnetic flux is represented with phi, and this magnetic flux which is being generated across this inductor is represented with the dotted line, and this arrow mark shows the direction of this magnetic flux. So what we have done, we have taken a small inductor here. This small inductor has been has some n number of turns. So when a current I of t is made to flow through it, then it produces a magnetic flux around this coil which is represented with phi. Then when the magnetic flux is induced in the coil, some voltage will be developed across this coil. That induced voltage is represented with V. Okay, so now according to Faraday's law, we know according to Faraday's law, the voltage induced in the coil, we know that according to Faraday's law, the voltage which is induced in the coil V is proportional to N, that is number of turns in and rate of change of magnetic flux. That means, if you see here, according to Faraday's law, the voltage induced in the coil V is equal to, it is directly proportional to number of turns and the rate of change of magnetic flux, which is given by, as you see in the equation number 1, the induced voltage across the inductor V is given by N into d phi by dt. So where N represents the number of turns, and d phi by dt represents the rate of change of flux with respect to time. So this induced voltage across an inductor is given by N into d phi by dt. But we know that the change in the flux, as we have seen in the previous slide, the change in the flux phi is caused by the change in the current I. Because as we see in the previous slide, that the change in this flux phi is because of the applied the current which is flowing through the circuit, that is I of t. So hence, if you see here, the change in the flux phi is caused by the change in the current I. Hence, d phi by dt, that is rate of change of flux with respect to time, is given by rate of change of flux with respect to I and multiplied with rate of change of current with respect to t. That means d phi by dt can now be written as d phi by di into di by dt. Right? So this we call it as equation number 2. Now what we'll do? Now let us substitute equation 2 in 1. Then we get V is equal to N into d phi by di into di by dt. Let us call this as equation number 3. Now this third equation, slightly it is being modified, and we can rewrite the expression as V is equal to L into di by dt. Let us call this as equation number 4. Now comparing this equation 4 with equation 3, so the self-inductance, please listen carefully. The self-inductance is now defined as L is equal to, so comparing this 4, see here what we have written, L is nothing but it is N into d phi by dt. So based on that, we can now write the self-inductance L is given by N into d phi by dt. Let us call this as equation number 5. So what is self-inductance now? Self-inductance is nothing but it is proportional to the number of turns in the coil with rate of change of flux with respect to time. Hence, the unit of this self-inductance is given by Henrys and it is being represented with the symbol H. Right? So this is known as a self. Right. Now let us continue with the magnetic mutual inductance. So just now we discussed about what is a self-inductance. Now let us talk about a mutual inductance. So in order to establish a mutual inductance between the coils, so you have to remember that there should be two inductors or coil which should be placed in close proximity to each other. Then the magnetic flux caused by the current in one coil links the other coil. Therefore, this produces an induced voltage. Or, in order to understand what is mutual inductance, then mutual inductance is the ability of an inductor to induce a voltage across a neighboring inductor. Please remember that in order to establish a mutual inductance, there should be two inductors or coil in close proximity with each other. Then the magnetic flux which is produced in one inductor will induce some voltage across the neighboring inductor. Let us now discuss in detail about the magnetic circuit's mutual inductance. Now, in order to understand the mutual inductance, let us consider the following two cases. Okay, so let me talk about the first case. So, what is case 1? Now, case 1 is two coils with self-inductance L1 and L2 as shown in the figure below. Now, let us consider this figure here. So, I am considering two coils which are having a self-inductance of L1 and the other coil which is having a self-inductance of L2. Now, the number of turns in the first inductor is N1 turns and the number of turns in the second inductor are N2. Okay. So now these two inductor coils have been placed in close proximity with each other. Let us consider that the current I of t is flowing through the first inductor coil L1. Now once the current starts flowing through an inductor L1, then the magnetic flux is induced across this. Let us consider the magnetic flux which is induced in the first coil is being represented with phi11. Then because of this magnetic flux, some voltage is induced across this first inductor. Let us represent this as V1. Now what happens? Due to this close proximity between the first inductor and the second inductor, some magnetic flux has been linked with the second coil because of the current which is being applied at the first inductor. Now that flux which is being linked with the second coil is represented as phi12. Because of this flux which is induced in the second coil, some voltage has been developed across the second inductor. Let us name it as V2. I hope it is clear to everyone. So we have taken two inductors which have been placed in close proximity to each other. Let us assume the self-inductance of coil L1 and L2 are the self-inductance of coil 1 and 2. Then the number of turns in the first and second coil are N1 and N2. Then due to the current which is flowing through this first inductor coil I1 of t, the flux which is being linked with the first coil is represented with phi11. Then some flux is linked with the second coil which is represented as phi12. Now let us see what happens here. So now let us consider the magnetic flux phi1 from coil 1 has two components. Okay. So first one is phi11 which is linked only to first coil. That is because of the first coil itself. Now phi12 is the flux which is linked between both the coils 1 and 2. That is why it is being represented as phi12. Now the total flux of first coil is being given by phi1 is equal to phi to the suffix 1 stands for first coil which is given as phi11 plus phi12. Let us call this as equation number 6. Now thus the voltage which is induced in first coil. Okay, the voltage which is induced in first coil, as you have seen in the figure, we have represented it as V1, which is now given by, according to Faraday's laws, the number of turns in the first coil, that is N1, multiplied with the rate of change of flux with respect to current multiplied with the rate of change of current with respect to time. This is what we have already discussed, this equation, same equation I am using now. So the voltage which is induced in the first coil V1 is now given by N1 into the rate of change of flux in the first coil with respect to current 1 multiplied with the rate of change of current with respect to time. So which is now equal to L1 into dI1 by dt according to the definition of the self-inductance. So now L1 represents the self-inductance of your first coil. Now, so we know that because of the current which is flowing in the first coil, that is I1 of t, some flux has been linked to the second coil. So because of the flux which is linked with the second coil, some voltage has been introduced in coil 2, which we have represented as V2. Now this V2 is given by number of turns. Again we are using the same expression according to Faraday's laws. So the number of turns N2 multiplied with the flux linkage of the second coil with respect to first coil, which is represented as phi1 2, divided by di1 into di1 by dt. So if you see here, we have not applied any current in the second coil, but because of the first coil, some flux has been linked to the second coil, which is being represented as d phi1 2. So this is equal to, now if I apply the definition, so I am going to get M21 into dI1 by dt. Now what is this M21 indicates? So let us see here. The subscript 121 in M21 means the mutual inductance on coil 2 due to coil 1. Please remember this. This is very, very important. Now we are going to define a mutual inductance. So always remember that the mutual inductance is caused in the circuit because of the flux which is being induced on second coil with respect to first coil. That is why we are using a subscript here as M21. That is M21, where M stands for mutual inductance. M stands for mutual inductance, and 21 represents that the mutual inductance on coil 2 due to coil 1, right? So this is, we call it as a mutual inductance. Similarly, let us consider the second case now. So what is second case? Again I am considering the same case. So let us consider the two coils here, two inductors with self-inductance L1 and self-inductance L2, right? Now let us consider that instead of the current we applied in the first case across the inductor L1, now I am applying the current across the inductor L2. Let us assume the current which is flowing through inductor L2 is I2 of t. Now because of this current which is flowing through this inductor L2, some flux has been linked across this inductor L2. Let us represent the flux which is linked across this L2 is given as phi 22. Okay, because of this flux which is being linked across this second inductor, there is some voltage induced across it which is represented as V2. Now because of this flux which is being linked at the first coil, some flux has been linked to the first coil L1. Let us represent the flux which is introduced at the second coil as phi 21. So because of this flux phi 21, some voltage has been introduced across the first coil. Let us call this voltage as V1. So same we have taken, but in the second case what we are doing, we are taking again two coils L1 and L2 with the number of turns as N1 and N2. Now instead of applying the current at the first coil, we are applying the current at the second coil. Now let us understand the concept here. So the magnetic flux phi 2 from coil 2 has again now two components. The first component is phi 22 and the second component is phi 21. So what is phi 22? Phi 22 is a link coil, whereas phi 2 1 is the flux which is linked to both the coils, because if you see 2 and 1 means it links to both the coils. Now hence phi 2 is given by phi 2 2 plus phi 2 1. Let us call this as equation number 1. Now let us calculate the voltage which is being induced in coil 2. Okay. Now let us talk about the voltage which is induced in coil 2, because now I have applied the current at coil 2. Now again I am making use of Faraday's law. So according to Faraday's law, already in the circuit we have seen the voltage which is induced in the second coil is given by V2. So V2 is equal to, I am going to get N2 into d phi 2 2 by di2 multiplied with di2 divided by dt. So if I replace this according to the definition of the self-inductance, then I am going to get the expression as L2 multiplied with di2 by dt. If you see here in this expression, all these values are with respect to second coil. Therefore, I am replacing that with the L2. Now, L2 will be the self-inductance of your second coil. Now, we know that as we are applying a current at the second coil, because of this current which is applied at second coil, some flux has been linked with the first coil, which is phi to 1. Now, because of that phi to 1, we know that some voltage has been induced in your first coil. So, if you see here, some voltage has been induced in the first coil. So, let us calculate what is this gives us. Now, again using Faraday's law, the voltage which is induced in the first coil because of the second coil is given by number of turns in the first coil, that is N1 multiplied with the flux which is linked with the second coil is d phi 2 by d2 multiplied with di2 divided by dt. Now according to the definition, if I replace this N1 into d phi 2 1 by di2, then I am going to write this as M12 into di2 by dt. Again here M stands for mutual inductance and the subscript here 1 and 2 represents that the mutual inductance in coil 1 due to coil 2. As we know that the current we have applied at coil 2, we did not apply the current in first coil, but due to the flux which is linked to the second coil with respect to the first coil, we could see that some inductance has been generated. That inductance we call it as a mutual inductance. So these are the basic definitions of self-inductance and mutual inductance, and this we obtained by using Faraday's laws.